Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of 6 Degrees of Associations. Lucas, welcome today. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are introducing a unique guest for us today, JP Moery. Moery? Yeah, I'm saying it right. Moery. And the reason I say it's a unique guest is because we tend to not really talk about ourselves much on this podcast. We really set the show up so that we could talk to all the individuals and interesting people in the industry. And JP certainly is one of those. And we had planned to talk to him a while ago, but we kind of have a unique announcement to make today about a marriage of sorts. So before we sort of get into that, so I'll tease the audience a little bit. JP, could you tell us who you are and the Moery Company? Who is the Moery Company? What have you been doing in the association industry?
Thank you, Aaron, and good to be with Lucas as well. I'm really excited about the conversation. Now, how did I get started? Well, I got started in the association business about almost 30 years ago. I came to Washington, D.C. from Oklahoma, and I got involved in membership development and kind of revenue generation for a number of organizations, including the American Trucking Associations and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And then I learned a lot about digital media and communications during my time as executive vice president with SmartBrief. And then a little over 10 years ago, I launched the Moery Company. And what we do is we generate revenue for associations through membership, sponsorship, exhibit, advertising sales, or by being in the field every day. We're also, I think, fantastic around the area of strategic planning and develop plans and business models for associations to grow. So we also have that consulting component as well.
That's awesome. And so what have you, go ahead, Lucas.
I was saying, I love it. I mean, yeah, you can see why, we can see why this is exciting and why we're getting ready to say something like, JP and I are cut from the same cloth of non-based revenue and helping associations. Been in the industry. I'm 10 years behind JP in tenure, but I'll get there.
Yeah. So JP, so the announcement, of course, that everyone will have seen already on Tuesday of this week, I believe it's going out, is that Advancea and the Moery Company are coming together in a relationship here. And so JP, I'm just curious from your perspective, having been in the association industry for now 30 years, as you say, and 10 years as this company, what brought you to this point where you thought this was the right moment to be looking for a partner like Lucas and Advancea?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for that opportunity to tell you the story. Well, there were a couple of things that I saw. One was coming out of the pandemic, and thank goodness we survived that era because it was very difficult for any kind of organization that was affiliated with associations during the pandemic to kind of sustain itself. So we came out of it, frankly, stronger than ever. But over the last several months in particular, what I saw was a great opportunity in the association space. Associations and their needs were evolving and expanding into new areas where they were asking us to do new things like membership renewal, like billing, like expanding our sales portfolio and being able to have more people on accounts and covering more accounts. So the marketplace was begging of more altitude and depth from the Moery Company. And I felt like finding a partner or someone to join us in that was going to enable us to take advantage of what was happening in the marketplace. And the other thing was also very important to me was to ensure that every member of the Moery Company team, the staff that had been involved during all these years, had an opportunity to grow within a larger company and new opportunities. So that's kind of what I saw in the association space, and enabled me to I'd bootstrap this company, Aaron. So kind of start it from scratch. And I felt like we needed a partnership to go to the next level.
That's awesome. And so Lucas, I would now turn to you. We're not normally interviewing you, but I'm going to interview you today too. What were your thoughts as far as how Advancea had come to this point, and what were you seeing about the marriage that made a lot of sense from your perspective?
Yeah, so I've always described Advancea as a unique association advisory firm. We're not quite an AMC, and our core, as you know, is in affinity programs. But in the same vein, we're a sales and marketing driven organization that has a mission to help associations with their mission. So our mission statements almost even line up in a sense. And we've teased out the idea that we do consulting in the industry. But the Moery company really does great consulting in the industry, and JP has just built a fantastic group of folks and company that's been servicing. Actually, I think we even have a little bit of overlap in some of our national associations that we work with together, which is great. Just an immediate expansion of services for those associations, and ideally you look at those and create. That's exactly the type of synergistic outsource partnership relationship that we want to create with associations. We talked about before the call. Being remote is sort of now a commonplace for a lot of associations. So what's the difference between having somebody that sort of wears your association hat in an outsourced fashion and having an employee who's remote? And so, everything just sort of coming together, and, JP's just got a ton of energy. He lives the brand. He's built a great brand. I mean, look at him. He's got the shirt. He's got the background. Look, he's got a picture of the book.
This is all I've got.
He literally wrote the book on associations. I mean, literally. So what's not to like?
I put on the uniform, Aaron. I put on the uniform every day.
I love it. Yeah. And I know you have a passion for car racing. And so that actually really works because you always have to be wearing the uniform there. So, yeah, exactly. I want to pull on that thread there, Lucas, that you talked about, because I know JP has some thoughts on this as well. But to your point, and we've talked about this in a few different episodes around outsourcing and resources. But, a lot has shifted in the last 18 to 24 months. It was probably, everyone could probably already say they were going there. Mm-hmm. But what do you all feel is the unique position, not only of yourself now as a merged company, but where the industry sits right now in that acceptance and that desire even for those outsourced resources to help continue to grow?
Well, and we've heard this theme, Aaron, for the last several months, where a lot of business realities were accelerated during this time frame. So when I started the business, the biggest objection that I would ever get from a potential client would be, oh my gosh, there's no way we could outsource something so core to our business model as membership recruitment, right?
So personal.
Yeah. Oh, and we got to have that personal connection, which, by the way, we do develop, and that is necessary. Although if you weren't contacting or calling or recruiting people in a proactive basis, were you really developing those relationships? But that's old content for another day. But what I have seen is the business realities of a team, that an association team, if you will, that's been stretched to the max, yet they're being required to do much more for their association members and their industry. So I think they're opening up for a variety of number of outsourced and expertise resources for companies like Advancea and the Moery company to really partner with them on. And here's the other thing. The associations now have the infrastructure to work with us better, right? They've been working with their team members and their staffs remotely. And as we were talking earlier, the Moery company has been a virtual company, although we've had a headquarters at different times. We've been a virtual company since day one. And let me tell you the secret between that has enabled us to keep our team members in place, because they can now move to different places based on their family needs and whatever they want to do as an individual. Yep. But it's also enabled us to never miss a day of work during the pandemic, because we were already set up that way. And I think being ready and nimble and set up for that future is a good thing for us in how we can serve associations.
Yeah, well said, JP. I mean, we've talked, Aaron, in going through some other episodes, just sort of the genesis or the catapult of this whole concept that, last year, many associations who couldn't find the revenue they had found in the past through live events and other programs, loss of membership, what have you, there was some constriction in the employment base just within associations. And unfortunately, some smaller associations we've seen didn't make it through. And so now, as you sort of come back online, if you will, and coming back live, hiring is difficult, across the board, not just in the association, everything very competitive. And you start to run, even from a financial perspective, you start to run the numbers on, hey, I got to recruit, I got to maintain, I got to have HR for these people, I got to do benefits. And you look at the cost weighted average versus working with somebody who's ready to go, remote setup, who are top-notch people, proven. Most of JP's folks have been there 5+ years, some of them 10. I mean, these are seasoned sales professional. This is not a outsourced call center to, I won't say Oklahoma, but but somewhere else. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. These are top tier folks, and it's a great opportunity to work with associations and then just sort of look to expand those services. And now we're throwing stuff on the table. Hey, what's next? What are the 1 or 2 next services that we can together start to add and layer into, you know, our proposals and our conversations?
Yeah, I think you could always, to add on to what Lucas said, I think you could always make the case around just cost center review, and it kind of makes sense. But man, what I see is the performance can be better. I mean, they're focused, they're specialists in the area. You might not, they may be cost prohibitive if you just hired them by themselves to come onto your team, but man, you can get some of the best people this way.
Yeah.
And not just are they already there, I'll just share, and this is something I didn't even know going into the conversations or relationship with JP, is they have folks that are going on site or remotely going on site to associations and training their staff. So that's even an opportunity I didn't even know existed, but they're so good they could train others. That's when you know you got real good people.
That's pretty awesome. So what are some of the things that are coming about with associations, call it 2.0, because now, you know, that is certainly another sector of industry that has been disrupted by the pandemic and is now sort of maneuvering their way out, even if Delta wanted to put a little dent in that. What are you all most excited about expanding into or seeing in some of your now crossover clients, or, you know, the opportunity now that, oh, hey, I haven't worked with that association before, but we did something over here, and getting to cross-pollinate? What are some of the things that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, well, I think there's one thing that is a huge opportunity for all these organizations. We've established now an ability in our organizations to communicate and deliver content and expertise in a variety of different formats, whether it's something like this, which I know that there's this, you know, Zoom fatigue, although I also heard about email fatigue more than 10 years ago. Like, I can't take any more emails, right? And we're still open.
Amazingly enough, we can.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this ability to communicate with our audiences and engage more diversified, younger demographics has really opened up the door for more relationships and more engagement in terms of revenue opportunities, especially around membership and advertising and things like that. So that's the big one that I'm interested in, that I'm so excited about, is online, in person, virtual, you name whatever the components are. And those relationships, not only for education, but for advocacy and, you know, like business connections, is going to be a major opportunity for associations. And I think Advancea, the Moery company, are going to really kind of take advantage of that opportunity for our association clients.
Yeah, no, that's a great opportunity, I think, for everybody really involved in the industry. And so what I would say is in the affinity business, right, core to our business, we promote that by outsourcing the management of your affinity programs or your member benefit programs, we give the opportunity for our agents to sort of cross-sell and cross-promote, right? Rather than going to one vendor and learning, come to us in sort of a consultative approach, and we can introduce 3 or 4 of your member benefits in one engagement, right? And so the idea that we can now pull together other services. If you're talking about membership, we can have people ultimately trained on affinity programs that sort of couple with the memberships that are already being sold or the renewals that are being sold. And there's also a technology component we found through the process. Again, didn't know at the beginning that the Moery company and Advancea are running on very similar technology components. So we're going to be able to put these ecospheres together in a really cool way where this information can flow back and forth pretty readily. And both sort of entities will be open to the information that's going to be ultimately, in the house. So
yeah, right. I'll tell you, there's another, Aaron, as Lucas was describing this, here's something for associations to kind of look forward at. there is an assessment of member benefits and services and the real amount of traction and connection they deliver or not. And having someone that's got experience in this area, I think that there's just, use an old trucking phrase. I mean, we need to get to a place where we're delivering maximum value, but there's some things that need to fall off the back of the truck because they're legacy oriented. They don't deliver as much value anymore. They don't address the needs of future audiences, but they might be the favorite of the past president's club. Not that there's anything wrong with those folks, but that having a partner with you to determine some of those opportunities or things that those services that may have served their purpose and not a part of the future, I think is a big deal coming ahead for our clients.
Yeah, we say it's, you know, I say it sometimes a little cheesy, but you know, JP, we've used this thing better together throughout this process, and it's true. And you use the word experience, which I think is a perfect example. There's so much experience on the Moery team within the associations and within what they do, and you couple that with the experience we have on the Advancea team. And we've already thrown things out on the table, and people have gone, "Hey, I can add to that, or I can input some value on that, even if it wasn't something, you know, necessarily in their wheelhouse or lane." And so that just breeds new opportunity and new thought and new process through some brainstorming with experience.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, in thinking about the services that both of you provide, it's such a comprehensive look at truly value. How do you create value within an association? Because obviously, if the Moery company has been working on sales, membership, you know, retention, renewal, all of that is centered around value. Affinity programs, value. You know, revenue was thrown out there at the beginning, right? How do we help associations build revenue? But revenue comes alongside of value. And this ability for you all to look at, rather than being in competition with each other for the non-dues revenue partner of the year, you know, you now get to bring all of those aspects of that to bear with one organization at one time, as well as a lot of experience in different industries. I mean, JP, I know you and I have connected separately around car racing because it's motorsports is a passion of yours and was previously one of my roles and responsibilities. But even in that industry, for instance, you've seen the analogous situation of how what you do for associations can work in that and vice versa. And that can, you know, only help to expand both of you being able to help associations. Yeah.
Aaron, I tell you something, this is actually a story that happens to be true. An organization, an association, an advocacy group activating a grassroots issue through racing and generating almost 200,000 impressions and activations and over 70 stories on radio and television. Like, could you do that? Could you do that the old, you know, I don't know how I can't even remember how we used to do it, through email and just contacting, you know, call your member of Congress stuff. This is the thing that we're in the field practicing all the time that I think can innovate for our clients for sure. Yeah.
And provide the omni-channel experience, if you will. I mean, as you were talking about earlier, you know, no longer gone are the days where people are like, oh, okay, well, we should have a podcast for this, and maybe we'll do a webinar for this, and we'll have email newsletters for this. I mean, it's the whole, you know, those are all now just distribution opportunities. And what you need to do is to get into what's the value that we're bringing and how can we actually, we'll worry about making sure every distribution channel gets it later, but let's make sure that we're bringing the value from both of your experiences. Yeah.
And do they all help us achieve our mission? I mean, do they help us move the needle on our mission and our goals as an association? You're right. Absolutely, Aaron.
Yeah, you said it well, Aaron, that value steps forward first and revenue comes behind it. And I'll just say that was another thing I really appreciate as we got into it, JP, on how you all led with value, whether it's membership, renewal, your consulting services, all of those things led with how valuable they could be for an association. And then, okay, the revenue will come in behind that. But there's so much to that was mission driven. I just had a lot of appreciation for it.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think the revenue component is a way to keep score of the delivery on the other things.
There you
And then
go.
I don't know why, I spoke about this for a long time with our associations, like, hey, it's a way to keep score and measure how successful we are in delivering value and executing it. It
Right.
isn't like I'm leading with revenue to, trick somebody into giving me money that's not going to get value for. That was never the way, right?
Right.
Well, and much like the
mean,
Advancea way, it's set up where, JP and I, we bet on ourselves because we know we'll win. And that's another component that I think is, it just aligns yourselves and you put yourself in sync with the association, and it works well.
Yeah.
Well, I am excited to see where this partnership goes, and I look forward to being able to talk to other folks within the Moery organization that now will be combined with Advancea and explore all different topics. I mean, I can't wait to see what that does for 6 degrees of associations. Now we're going to have like 12 degrees or so. I don't know, does it multiply? I don't know how to do that math, but but I'm going to wrap us up as I always do.
We're going to go down to 3 degrees because that's all that's going to be left in the association.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's like, it's smaller. You're right. 1 degree.
JP now there's only 1 degree. We have him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But JP, we are going to treat you like a normal guest in this way. We're going to ask you to tell us who we should talk to next that might be able to really help our audience learn even more about the association world.
Yeah, I love this question. I would recommend that you speak with Chris Swanger, the president and CEO of Distilled Spirits Council of the United States.
Ooh.
Here's an within industry executive getting his first association CEO job, launching new programs, including their Discus Academy, including the first ever real annual conference, launching small business and associate members within the first 3 years of his tenure. This is an association, a former member that now is executing as the association exec. And I think it's very exciting, and he has a lot to offer.
Oh, it's awesome. That sounds really cool. Yes. Especially if he sends us a little sampler kit before we get on air. So there you go.
You can do one of those virtual happy hours or whatever the heck they call it.
It might be appropriate.
We'll get a mixologist. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, Lucas and JP, thank you guys so much for being with us today and for sharing the big news that I know I'm certainly excited about. And I think the industry will really benefit from this partnership. So thanks for being here and sharing it and sharing your expertise.
Yeah,
thank you.
Our pleasure.
Delighted.